Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of the Doing Things podcast. I guess I probably shouldn't call it a podcast until I actually have a guest on. So right now it's still kind of a video essay format. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about a new blog post that I just released on my Substack, which is just pauldimaggio.substack.com. This topic is about changing a paradigm, the current paradigm with the hiring process. It's completely broken. I think instead of potential employees and candidates approaching employers and begging and pleading to be chosen for a particular job, we should kind of shift it on its head in the sense that potential candidates should create a service on their personal website for potential employers to use to see if they're a good fit for the job role and the organization that the employers are seeking to fill, right? So changing this paradigm has a bunch of different benefits, and I'll get into it, but really it's because of the proliferation of AI. It's created this environment where there's so much noise out there for employers to sift through and find actually valid candidates. They have to build these crazy filters to filter out a bunch of AI slop that potential candidates are putting out there. But it's not really the candidate's fault because they need to use the shotgun approach in order to get noticed. So basically, I'm offering a solution for both sides that'll make the entire process a little bit better for everybody, hopefully. Everybody needs to buy in. So we'll see if that's actually a future reality. But in any case, my new blog post, which I'm going to be referencing here, is called Stop Competing for a Job, Demand Attention from Employers by Designing Your Own Hiring Interface on Your Personal Website with AI. So for those searching for a full-time job, it's very apparent that the effectiveness of platforms like LinkedIn has effectively collapsed, right? Not because hiring is slowed, which it has, right? But because attention has waned. The volume is still there. The infrastructure is still there, but what's gone is the ability to be noticed, or worse, the ability to be evaluated meaningfully. Okay. In response, most people do the obvious thing, meaning most candidates do the obvious thing, which is optimize harder for the same broken hiring system. So they do better keywords, cleaner resumes, more tailoring, more applications, right? Unfortunately, this leads to an arms race where both sides escalate and everyone loses. There's more flailing wildly for potential employees, and there's more noise that potential employers need to sift through. So it's time for potential candidates to step out of the pile entirely by creating their own service that employers can use. So candidates should demonstrate their capabilities by creating this AI hiring interface on their personal website. And I'll get into exactly what that means in a second, right? So instead of sending static documents into a black hole, candidates should integrate AI chat interfaces on their personal site. These interactive portfolios will invite employers to investigate rather than filter. Think less of a resume and more of an online experience or service for employers to use, okay? An AI-powered personal site can, number one, answer nuanced questions about your work in real time. Number two, reference real artifacts like documents, diagrams, dashboards, other websites that you've done, client work for, and code if you're a developer or software engineer. Number three, it can explain trade-offs, constraints, and lessons learned over the course of your career history, right? And number four, it can readily admit your limitations without becoming defensive, which is kind of people's default if they're in an interview setting where they kind of pull back a little bit. But your AI, you can just let it say, hey, you know what? This is a limitation of his current or her current skill set. And that just saves everybody time and gets to a better result in the end. So providing the service on your own personal website inverts the power dynamic, right? An AI-powered personal site has a benefit of, so the candidate is no longer in like a supplicant role, which I think is a desirable thing from a candidate standpoint. Like, we don't want to be in a situation where, we're begging and pleading, please choose me, right? It's better to take control of the situation, right? A candidate-controlled interface flips this power dynamic on its head, right? You're no longer just presenting yourself for evaluation, you're evaluating whether an organization is a fit for you as well, okay? So this chat interface that I'm describing on your personal website isn't just an interface for an employer to query you and your background. Everything the employer types into this interface on your personal website also provides you as the candidate information about the employer and puts you in a position to evaluate whether they're a good fit for you, right? Think of it this way, okay? You could have this feature on your site. Imagine a simple interface where a hiring manager goes to your website, pastes a job description into your interface, and then gets back an honest analysis of whether or not your skill set is like a good match. Where you match, where your skills match, where you don't match, and why, with links and evidence, right? And critically, the AI tool would have an explicit willingness to say no to misaligned roles, okay? This signals something rare, which is judgment, okay? Publishing strengths, moderate competencies, and known gaps doesn't weaken your position, okay? You can be forthcoming about these things. It strengthens your position in the hiring process. It saves time, it builds trust, okay? And it tells the potential employer that your time has value too, right? You don't want to just go through 7 billion interviews when you know up front that you're not necessarily a good fit with this particular organization for whatever role the hiring manager is on your site to explore, right? To see if you're a good fit for. So that confidence and judgment alone will differentiate you from like 99% of job applicants. And now I want to talk a little bit about the psychology of drawing employers to you, right? If someone is presented with a standard resume, they're in filtering mode immediately. They get defensive, they do like pattern matching, and they're looking for reasons to say no. If someone arrives at a thoughtfully designed interface with clean aesthetics, clear navigation, interactive depth, they shift into investigative mode, right? They get curious. They're not suspicious anymore. And this curiosity drives attention and discovery. People trust conclusions they reach themselves more than claims presented to them. Your job as a candidate isn't to convince, it's to architect discovery, okay? To guide inquiry ethically so potential employers uncover the truth about your capability through interaction on your site, okay? Of course, making people aware of your hiring interface in the first place is still a problem. Figuring out how to actually drive traffic to your site, we need to figure out that part. But, first things first, design an experience in a service that's actually worth exploring. Then we can worry about how to drive people to that service. And I want to talk a little bit more about designing this hiring interface on your personal website, okay? It's not about gimmicks. It's not about flashy demos or anything like that. It's about substance and utility, right? A candidate interface that genuinely saves a hiring manager time by clarifying fit, surfacing evidence, and answering real questions creates goodwill and trust. It turns differentiation into a service that you as the candidate are providing to the potential employer. The same AI that broke the hiring process in this current world right now will make this possible for candidates to implement themselves. There's a low-cost AI infrastructure that lets you prototype these systems in hours and not weeks. You don't need to be a developer to make them. Really, the constraint is no longer the tooling and the technical aspect of standing up your own personal site, or the technical aspect of integrating an AI chat interface. This is all solved. It's very easy to do nowadays. Anyone can do it. So really, the task is all about how thoughtful you are in implementing this on your personal website. That's really where you're going to spend most of your time, is the design. Okay. Now, for people that are early in their career, that haven't gotten a full-time job yet, they're just coming out of college, they're in their early 20s, whatever, you obviously don't have a ton of previous career experience to draw upon to give like a body of personal knowledge to an AI chatbot so that it can respond with whatever inquiries a new employer, potential employer might have, right? But you actually do have a story to tell that you can train your AI on, okay? An AI agent on your personal site will work best when you have real material, and you shouldn't fake that, right? Instead of all of your previous job experience, which you don't have since it's like you're just out of college, right? Think of a narrative that you can tell about yourself, projects that you've done in the past. And again, this is all information that you should feed to your AI so that it can like answer potential employees. So think of projects you've done in the past, how your capacity to learn has accelerated over time, right? Different big life decisions that you've had to make, you know, in the recent past. And just create a story of like your growth over recent history, right? Demonstrate how you think about things and how you go about learning things. That's great thing. That's great stuff to put in there. And then really just, you want to show what you're becoming and just demonstrate that trajectory, if that makes sense. So the principle holds here of this kind of overarching paradigm shift. As a candidate, you don't want to just assert that you know things. You want to demonstrate that you can do things. And this AI chat interface and training your AI to answer these inquiries from employers is a great way to do that in an automated fashion, and even at a meta level, because you're creating a service for employers to use. That should go, you know, miles ahead of anyone else that's just sending a resume in or something like that. So in any case, the final takeaway for candidates, right, is break out of the supplicant role. Instead, build AI interfaces on your personal website that prove substance and command attention, okay? And then the final takeaway for employers is stop skimming claims that are made, okay? Design your hiring process to reward candidates who let you interrogate real work, real judgment, and real limits. So I hope that all made sense. Maybe I'll go into detail. Maybe I'll design my own, example interface that, to kind of demonstrate how that would go for people's personal sites. And then maybe I'll do a video on exactly how I go about creating that, because again, it's not like a technical hurdle anymore. Anyone can do it. And yeah, I think that'll probably be a video coming up just demonstrating how to go about doing that. So anyways, this is Paul DiMaggio from the Doing Things podcast, episode 2. Thanks so much for your time. And I need to come up with a good slogan outro, but anyways, have fun out there. All right, bye.